previous role. I mean, it's like say, a month back. But as the topic of this series of webinars, which is being arranged by the university, it comes as kind of relevance because if you're empowering hatcheries, finally you end up in empowering the industry, and finally the industry get prosperous, and then how this industry can contribute to the rest of the things. So how can it contribute to the overall agricultural productivity in the country? So it's well connected. That's why we thought of introducing here. So in the interest of bandwidth, I will switch off my camera because my bandwidth is also not very great. I'm also working from home. I'm not in the office. So by the end, I can again switch it on to avoid any kind of disruption. So I hope that's okay. So can I start, or any more comments from Vimal and Prasoon? So I'm considering I can start. So the discussion point today is why is automation. So usually when we talk about hatcheries, we talk a lot about the incubators, the setters and the hatchers, which is going into the hatchery. So considering the fact that 80% or 90% of the investment of a hatchery goes into the setters and hatchers, but also there is a lot of scope in and around the setters and the hatchers where you can actually improve the efficiency of the production. So that is where we're going to talk about the automation. So I will try to give an overview. Then for the interest of the listeners, we have divided this into the possibilities of transfer room automation, the possibilities of pull room automation, and possibilities of chick room automation. And there are some general offers, and then I can very well take your questions. So I try to restrict myself well in time. This is basically an effort to give a glimpse of what are the things available in the world. So many things which we are discussing now may have started coming to India. Something is yet to come to India. So India is in a transition in terms of automation and other capabilities when hatchery is concerned. The concept of mega hatcheries is coming up fast. Why I said this in the discussion here, because I may not be discussing about this in the coming slides, but why I'm talking here is earlier, the infrastructure in the country was not great. So the transportation was challenging. So we used to believe in having scattered hatcheries of medium to small to medium capacity, so that every specific and localized areas can be catered. So that was our overall belief. But then what was happening there, that you need to invest on land and repetition on the hatcheries everywhere. Every 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers, you need to actually build up new hatcheries. So the infrastructure in the country has improved. The transportation facilities have improved. Then this has come to the opportunities of building up bigger hatcheries. So we usually call mega hatcheries. In mega hatcheries in India comes to a tune of 5 million, 50 lakhs to 1 crore birds produced every month. Though the real mega hatcheries, which I have personally seen, they goes up to the tune of 2 to 2.5 crore birds produced per month. So that is where the actual mega hatcheries comes. But in the Indian context, we talk about mega hatcheries basically on this scale, and that's where the opportunities of these things lies in. So also a caveat before I take to the next stage of the discussion is it applicable? Is it practical for every hatcheries? No. Every hatchery may need certain or the other things based on their efficiency, where they want to improve the efficiency. So these are all tailor-made systems. So I work with an organization called Zoetis, which have been introduced. So we are also into automation and biodevices. So we also have certain missions, but today's discussion, I try to touch upon what are all the offers, not only with specific to Zoetis, but what is available in the world. So I have tried to include certain things which we don't have, because that I felt it is more relevant for the listeners to understand that these are all the opportunities available in the world. So this is how it has been, the slides have been discussed. So what basic question is, what are the benefits of hatchery automation? Because I was being part of this team which was being introducing this concept into India 4 years back, 3.5 years back. When we talk about hatchery automation, it always comes to a question, oh, it's going to be costly. First question. Second question, why? What is my benefit? How much payback? What is the payback time? What is the return of investment? So many questions were coming into mind. So the experience of automation in United States or Europe or certain developed markets in Asia, we have Australia, which is very developed, Japan, which is very developed. So that doesn't stand very much true for India, because India comes to a very fundamental concept of affordable labor. I don't say use the word cheap labor, but affordable labor. So when we compare the labor cost in India versus the automation cost, there are a lot more elements which we should actually look into while considering automation. So it's not only one-to-one, but also there are extended opportunities which automation can offer to the customers in the country. So basically, it comes with major certain parameters like worker health and safety, the product safety, the animal welfare, and the productivity and economic returns. Is what returns we are making. Is it about the welfare of the employee? Certain jobs which are really, like, for example, if you are working in a chick room, where in a chick pull-out room, it's not a very healthy place to work, because the fluff is around. We may counter some types of respiratory problems, because I also basically work in lot many hatcheries during the installations and that type of requirement. So it's not very healthy place to work. So this is not a very attractive job for the labor to come in. So our labor dependency increases. So sometimes labor attrition increases. If you go and talk to any hatchery manager, the biggest challenge that person would be facing is labor. You may get labor, but people come for a week, 10 days, 2 years, they will leave. New person come, you have to train, because there is no school which trains you for hatchery management. Then how this can be done? That this can be done, basically we are replacing the traditional operations. Certain traditional operations are automated. So that is where this automation comes. So automation is something which is small mechanical automations to robotics. So I tried to give a glimpse of everything in the coming slides. So our effort is that how can we build in this gap? The gap which is created in the traditional practices can be bridged. Just to give an example, most of the operations in the hatcheries are repetitive operations. A person who is candling the egg is candling the egg every day. A person who is working in pulling out the chick, he will be repeating that exercise every day. So when it comes to repetitive job, there comes the element of automation, because a machine can do a particular activity which a human being is doing repeatedly every time. So that is where this automation scope comes in. And what happens with human being is that he has got emotions, he has got other strain, he has got physical pain. Like, for example, if a person who is doing vaccination in the hatchery, I have closely monitored this, so I can give that example. So the average speed the person takes is around 1,000 birds or 1,200 birds, maximum up to 2,000 birds an hour. So in the first hour, he vaccinates 2,500. Second hour, it becomes 2,200. Third hour, it becomes 1,500 or 800. So there is a variance. So if you vaccinate for 4 hours without, you cannot vaccinate for 4 hours without a break. But hypothetically, if somebody vaccinates in the first hour versus the fourth hour, the productivity loss happens. So it happens even after his health also. Suppose he was on sick leave, he come back to the hatchery and start working, then this efficiency may not be the best when he is perfectly healthy. So these type of activities, wherever possible, which can be automated, lies the scope of automation. So that is what the benefit. So I try to make it very simple, because most of the times when we go and discuss, this basically comes one-to-one discussion, because we need to understand what exactly is the requirement of the person who is looking for automation. There we can highlight those benefits. So I try to give a glimpse here. So this is what I was talking about, process gaps. So process gap reduction is what basically these hatcheries, these automation can do. I can give an example in terms of chick and shell separation. The chick and the shell separation is one of a extensive activity in a hatchery. When after the chicks are born, when we are pulling it out, we take it to the chick room and when we separate. So you look at the output, there is chicks coming in, there is eggshells coming in, there is fluff coming in, and there are other paraphernalia, including the cleaning of the basket, the storing of the basket. So there are 6 or 7 activities which is happening in a simple chick pull-out exercise. For a labor to do, it's extensive. But there are certain machines which are called automated chick and shell separators. So you load the hatch basket into the chick and shell separators. Automatically, the chicks will go to the next room for counting and vaccination. The rest of the fluff, the eggshell, the dead chicken, everything will get into a macerator, grind it, and taken it out through vacuum section. and store in a tank. So a labor intensive process has been completely excluded, and from a place of 10 people working, you may need a person working just to load the basket into the system. So this is where basically this automation gap, which gets more labor intensive, and we call small factories. So inside the hatchery, you can find small factories where efficiency gap can come. So basically the effort of automation is to reduce and to completely avoid these gaps. So many a times when I was talking to the business houses in the country, what are the factors which helps in adoption of any new technology? In that case, it's a new product. It can be a new value system in their operation. So everything based on three principles. One is your value system. That what is the organizational culture? That okay, historically this organization is very good in adopting technology and be a front runner. They usually take up systems fast. Then look at the technical and practical things. So I sometimes feel that we learn a lot of things at the school, and then we come out, and when we come to the industry, there are certain differences. So what we learn and what happened in the industry, there are certain gaps. So that is where these technical versus practical gaps come into place. So if suppose somebody is more practical aligned with what is happening in the world, they may go for faster adoption of technology. And finally, everything comes into financial and economy. So we basically talks about this in poultry industry, that everything revolves around money, because it's business. So how much value the customer, the user of the automation gets, how that is getting translated into further productivity is the decision maker. So finally, every place we will go and discuss this, they have a different financial benefit. Certain people have low, certain people have high, based on the current practices they have. So we cannot give a benchmark saying that, okay, you introduce this system into the hatchery, what is the profit you are going to get? It completely depends upon what we are having today, and from where we are going to take it to the next level. So that is what I need to have to talk about by the adoption speed. So this is one example I have given. On the left side, what you are seeing is basically the transfer room automation. So there is a process flow. There is an engineering design which is needed, where when we are going for adoption of any new technology, because it may not be practically possible to install a complete automation systems in a currently prevailing hatchery. I don't say it is not possible, but it will be difficult, because there will be certain flows which has to be designed accordingly to incorporate automation. And also it depends on how much is your production. So I usually come out with this proposal when we are talking to different business groups, that okay, if you have a 25 lakh hatchery, please don't think about these things. If you have a 30 lakhs hatchery, you may think about these things. So we actually have certain workings which we arrive based on the current market and the practicality. Then we extend the offers, and we show what is available and which one will give them better benefits. So these are certain directions when we talk about automation. So I just want the listeners, they can get familiar through this. So this is what happens when you compare manual versus automated process. So, this is a very simple understanding. In a manual intervention, which I said earlier, every time there is a variation. A human being cannot repeat the same process in the same efficiency every day after day for 365 days. That is practically impossible. There would be a lot of elements which comes into play. Our endeavor is not to take out the jobs of human, but at least to make it easier and faster and more predictable. Why I say this is when we are talking to hatcheries, when we say that, okay, we have an automated machine which actually records everything, and you have data on your iPhone or Android phone, which you can see the performance of your incubators. Data is everything is the most valuable thing today, because when you have data, you have better predictability. You are better predictable, you are more stable. So basically the automation processes helps in improving the predictability and thereby ensuring the stability. On the 18th day when we are transferring, we are more predictable that how many chicks are going to come. So you can get it on the screen that, okay, I'm going to produce this many chicks on the third day, so that I can actually plan the dispatch of the chicks to the respective farm. So that predictability element improves when you move more towards automation. So this highlighted area is the loss which happens when you compare the human to automation. This is not something which has been just put in for the design purpose. There is a data behind this assumption. Usually US reports the workforce quality and the output versus the mission output. So certain times these type of reports is accessible to public. So this is one of those reports which we have seen in one of the hatchery on one particular operation. What was the variability when it comes to complete automation versus human process? So another aspect is the number of human beings working in the hatchery. As I said, in Asia, except for in Japan and to some extent Australia, the labor is not very costly compared to other markets. So labor is relatively cheap. But then the problem is dependency of the labor, and absenteeism is a very big problem. So if you look at the mega hatcheries, if you look at the hatcheries in the world, you can see here a 1.2 million hatchery at least needs 75 to 80 people to work inside the hatchery for the operation. So that much of human intervention is actually happening when we need actually complete human interventions where the processes are being done by human. So now there will be a question usually comes that, okay, in this case, if you are going to automation, how much people can be reduced? Automation actually handles case by case. If you want to transfer room to get completely automated, how many people are working in transfer room versus how many people will be in automation is the discussion. To give a direction, what I can explain is in US, what we know is, I think somebody is unmuted. In US, what we know is for a 1 million to 1.4 million hatchery, which are end-to-end automated, we can have the operations which is being run by 20 people. So from 100 to 20 is what the variation. But then the 20 people or the 15 people working in the hatchery are mostly people who are engineers, maybe who are more professionals, who are more graduates or more trained people who will be working, not the laborers who will be doing the repeated work. So that's a comparison. But then again, I'm telling this is again case to case, which need to be seen, which area needs to be automated. But I just wanted to give a direction that this is what the global direction look like in terms of labor requirements in the hatchery. And this is a published report. So this would be my my slide before I enter into the specific automation scope available and what are the relevance of those things. So there are two types of automation. One is the robotics. Those yellow instruments, what we see on the screen is basically the robotic instruments, which are really costly instruments. But then there are certain benefits of those instruments. The second type of instruments are basically the instruments which are mechanical instruments, where you have conveyors, you have mechanical equipments. So robot is designed to derive a job which is less desirable for human, but then you need to do it repeatedly without any tire. So there comes the robotic applications, and on the robots are getting more popular these days, and I have seen the robots working, and there is actually no downtime. That is basically the improvement what we have when we move to robots. So I will show where are the robots possible currently in the world. I can show in the coming slides. So as I said, one of the major problem which we always face, and any hatchery manager on the call can actually endorse my statement, because they are the people who are actually get benefited when they move to automation. Absenteeism is a big challenge in India. We have low skilled and low paid labor, or medium skilled and medium paid labor. So that is not a very high attractiveness. So the next day when they get a less challenging job or a marginally better paid job, they leave. So every day it's a very big headache for the hatchery person, the head of hatchery, to ensure that I have this much of people doing my candling, I have this much of people doing my chick handling, dispatches, everything is planned. And finally, this is life. On the 18 and a half day, the embryo will come, sorry, on the 21st day, the chick will start coming out. You cannot stop it. If you have labor or you don't have labor, finally the birds have to be dispatched to the farm ASAP, completing the whatever chick processing operations need to be done. So that is a very big challenge. And most of our hatcheries are based out of based out in rural places. That is also sometimes a risk where you can get skilled workforce. So that is one challenge. So these are basically the things which I have seen while interacting with the people in the country in the last 4 years. So these are not something which I am deriving. This is what I heard from the people who are running commercial hatcheries. And consider all these discussions are coming from the experiences of handling commercial hatcheries. May not be more of academic, but more of commercial situation. So as every one of us know, the low skill labor, the turnaround is much higher. The people leaving and coming is higher. So every time when the new labor comes, we need to actually induct the people and make them understand. Candling technically is a simple process, but then a person who is doing the candling every day, it is easy for him. For a new person to learn candling, it is a humongous task. Once we teach him, he will leave. The new person will come. So these type of things are a very high risk. The another big problem which we have seen, and this basically happens in high scale hatcheries, is about the biosecurity risk. Why I highlighted this, because as a process, when we are installing certain machines, a mandatory biosecurity check is needed, and we have seen most of the biosecurity breaches are happening by people, because when people move from the clean area to unclean area where the reverse movement is not permitted but people walk freely, so there is the reason where we actually contaminate the clean places. So basically it happens through that labor travel. Then there are certain less desirable operations like removing the I think somebody is asking for annotation. I'm declining it. Like certain people are not very happy in handling the dead chicken, removing the dead shell, and I don't know if you get an opportunity to go into a commercial hatchery, when we are pulling out the chicks or when we are doing the transfer process, it's not a very bearable smell. So actually, that is also a challenge for a lot many people. I mean, once we get familiar, that is okay, but in the initial days, it's not very a nice place to stand and work. So this is not a desirable place like lot many people. Then again, the production schedule. Now, what happened in summer, we have a particular production schedule. In winter, we have a particular production schedule because we basically decide what is the travel time. And are we going to ship the birds during summer or are we going to ship the birds during winter? So based on that, the batch planning has to happen in the hatchery. So sometimes most of the hatchery operations happens midnight. So the attractiveness or the efficiency of the labor to work at midnight versus a mid-noon will be different. So this is also a challenge, and people may not be very much interested to come and work physical labor in the midnight. That may not be very attractive at certain places. So I don't say everywhere it is a problem, but these are certain things which I have come, and of course there are certain potential health hazards. So, and another big discussion which is happening these days is about humane handling of animals and birds. So we have to actually handle everything in more humane way. So sometimes certain handlings doesn't look humane, but that can be also optimized when you make it into automation, because automation helps you to design a standard way and it will be repeated every time. So I'm not going into every detail. I'm just giving a overview, again, the interest of time. And then robot, the benefit is, see why I said robot and mechanical, you can see side by side. So mechanical is what you're seeing on the right side is basically compiling with a lot of conveyors, chains, and systems. On the other side, similar activities if a robot is doing, the robot downtime is the most attractive thing. And again, for a 30 lakh hatchery, this may not be practical, but for higher scale hatcheries like 60 lakhs and above and all, this becomes very attractive for them. The downtime is after 60,000 hours. This is the average downtime. One breakdown of the robot happens once in 7 years. That is the predictability of this machine, and this is why these are being used in basically in a lot of automobile lines and all, because what I understand, 1 minute loss in automobile line may cause thousands of dollars of losses. So that's why when you have a repeated job to be done more precisely, that's where the robots comes into play. And on the other sides, for small scale operations, we still have the options of mechanical automation. So these are the broader two aspects of automation. And this is what I said, the downtime is after 60,000 hours, and the maintenance is 8 hours in 2 years. So this is something which I find very attractive, because when we have double transfers in one hatchery, you have every 12 hours hatcheries which are having transfers happening, then you may not act in a position to actually stop the operations and process things. So this is where the benefits of these things comes from. But again, I am saying as a caveat, this may not be attractive for medium scale hatcheries. This has to be attractive for large scale hatcheries. So these are the three rooms we are discussing today: the transfer room, the pull room, and the chick processing room. So above that, there are a lot of other spaces in the hatchery. The whole incubator segment is remaining. So that's I encourage the organizers to also arrange discussions on the scope of improving productivity through incubators, because finally incubators are the heart of hatchery. That is the most important thing. So we basically talk about transfer, pull rooms, and chick room. So one by one we will go. So in the transfer room automation, there are basically different scope available. That means you tell the process the things can be automated. So I would request everyone to just look into the broader overview here, because the time will not permit us to go into the detail of every automation opportunity. But what I can tell is that in the whole hatchery, the transfer room can be completely automated. So what do you mean by transfer room automation is, what is happening in the transfer room? We are transferring the eggs from the hatcher to the setter. So that is what the process happens. Usually at the 18th day, we transfer from the hatcher to the setter, and that is a simple process which is happening in the transfer room. Now, what are all the additions are possible in the transfer room? And that's what I'm going to talk in the next slide. So what we see here is you can do the candling, you can do the In-Ovo vaccination, you can do the automatic transfer, you can even have systems where the setter flats are automatically transferred into the hatch, into the transfer equipment. So you need not have to have human intervention. 100% things can be automated in this particular exercise. So these are certain things. So you can keep a glimpse of things as I read through. It's a flat unloader or a flat conveyor or a transfer machine. Since our transfer machines, there is capability to go up to 1 lakh eggs per hour. It can vaccinate at almost like 1 lakh eggs per hour, and that is a speed. And I will show in the coming slide. Unfortunately, we couldn't play the videos because of the bandwidth, so it gets stuck. We yesterday tried, but then we will share some links to you so that you can go and see in the YouTube what are all these machines and how these machines are working. So then there are washers, then rack washers, and lot many into the list. So I will talk a little bit about the In-Ovo part. So this is how the automation scheme look like. On one side, your trolleys from the hatches are coming, and the other side, the empty trolleys are going. The chicks have gone to the hatch basket. They have gone to the hatcher. They are set into the hatcher. Process is completed. In between, the candling happened, the vaccination happened, and the cleaning of the equipments and everything has been completed. So it's a single process flow. So you can keep a snapshot of this. This is where the transfer room automation comes into play. And I will talk a little bit about the first machine in this, which is a point down correction machine, which is a very important in the coming days, because what we are seeing is that there is a lot of times the eggs goes upside down into the setter trays. So what happens? Those eggs will never hatch. So either they will get dead in the shell or something. So those type of mistakes are slowly increasing because the scale of operations are increasing. When we have a small hatchery, this type of errors will be minuscule. But when we have a big hatchery, this type of errors also contributes to a bigger number. So there are machines available in the world which is basically does the point down correction. I personally have seen these machines in India also in many hatcheries operating. So this is an important issue because of late there is an observation that in certain places the eggs are getting more rounded. So the human eyes sometimes cannot catch it. So there are sometimes these errors happen. So this is the first machine which I would consider, I would recommend. So these machines will help you from transferring from the farm trays to the setter trays point down in the right way. So that is a very important equipment when it comes to a bigger scale operations. It will help in reducing the cracks, faster operations, and reduce hatchability issues. So this is the first equipment. Then comes the second equipment. So the eggs are already in the setter. They are resting there in the setter. They are the embryo is growing well. And on the 18th day, it comes where we are going to do the candling. So certain places we do a pre-candling also, but I'm talking about scale operations, high scale. We go for 18th day candling. So 18th day candling is these machines are basically designed to automate the candling process. So they can actually scan the eggs. They pick up only the eggs which are not embryonated. So you can see that the rest of the eggs are not touched. This is a very high biosecurity problem because the suction cup sometimes can get contaminated. So that is why most of the times you see there are different technology which has come, which I'll show you in the next slide. But then the suction cups comes in such a way that they touches the eggs, pull up those eggs, and then discard those eggs. So those eggs will goes into a system where it will automatically get ground and then goes into the vacuum conveyor outside for storage. So that possibility is there. So this is a very important equipment, and the precision of these equipments have gone up to 98 to 99% these days. Different technologies are available, infrared technologies are available, laser technologies are available. So the objective is that up to 18 day, if you are doing the candling, we should be removing the clear and the dead in the shell eggs. So up to 14 to 15 day accuracy is predicted with these machines. Up to 15th day eggs deaths can be completely removed. There are certain technology which is having live or non-live, but most of those technologies goes into the vaccine manufacturing companies where, because those machines are a little bit costly. So then this is the first mission which we usually recommended for a hatchery, and this can work in small scale hatcheries also, which is like 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs. This works fantastically well. And if it is integrated with the robot, these machines can handle 1 lakh eggs per hour. That is the speed these candling machines have. And we also have these machines. So I have seen in sync with automation, sync with robotics loading and robotics unloading the candling machine, it can work at this speed. So this is a second machine which I have understood, which is very important. The benefit of this candling machine is when human candling happens, sometimes we transfer some dead in the shell into the hatcher. Sometimes we transfer some of those clear eggs, which can create problem in the incubator, because in the hatcher they can lead to bursting. Then they can create contamination in the live birds around, or the dead in the shell eggs are equally potent for contamination. So that is the benefit when we are having cleaner eggs. And from the incubator language, the incubator companies, what they say is that if you have a non-live egg, that egg is considered as a cold egg. That egg will not have embryo, so it will not be warm. So the cold eggs takes a lot of electricity, lot of other challenges in the incubator, because then the air circulation inside the incubators can get affected if you have a lot of dead eggs in the incubator. So that is also an important point where we need right candling. So this is an addition which I have shown, that there are certain advancements which has happened in the suction cups. The suction cups have now moved to a wired technology. So this technology basically helps in handling the eggs more gently, because suction cups uses pneumatic system. This is like how we are holding with our hand. So you just pick up the eggs and transfer the eggs to the next unit. So that is one addition in the technology which has come. So I thought of sharing it. So here comes the next system. So I have put one photograph to show you. On the left side is a candling system where you candle the eggs and remove the eggs which are not desirable to go to the hatcher. So that's the first unit. Then comes the second unit where we usually talk about In-Ovo vaccination. So my basic experience in the previous role in the last 3-4 years is what more on the incubator, more on the In-Ovo vaccination front. I will talk a little bit in the coming slides on that. And then the last unit is basically the automatic transfer, where you transfer from the setter trays to the hatch basket. It can also be transferred automatically. So the full process from the entry of the basket to the exit of the basket, it can operate at a speed of 1 lakh eggs per hour. That is a speed where the advanced automation can provide. But in the base models, in the initial stages, you can have certain machines which can operate from 30,000 eggs per hour also, which itself is a good speed for transfer. So this is a bit of academic, which I thought as is being a more of an academic audience. So what is this In-Ovo vaccination? Because In-Ovo vaccination, many efforts have been done by Indians, because this technology, this particular innovation has happened through one of our old veterinarian, who is Dr. Jagdish Sharma. So he did it for Marek's disease. So then from there, this whole science have evolved into commercial. So it's a basic process where we basically inject the vaccine into the eggs. Now the question is, are we hurting the embryo? No, we are not vaccinating into the body of the embryo. We are releasing the vaccine into the amniotic sac. Now, how there are a lot of questions that then how it is going to stimulate the immune response, how it is going to affect the hatchability, How is it going to affect you are putting a hole into the egg, so is it going to create a biosecurity breach? Lot many questions are there. So all the questions, there are answers to every questions, because this is not something new, and that's why this slide is important. India is the new baby into this. India now, we are having around 12 to 15 machines the next 2 years in India, and doing Ovo vaccination. We already installed the first set of machines 2 years back. But look at the percentage. United States, the biggest broiler producer, handles almost 91% of the eggs. Birds are Ovo vaccinated. There is no farm vaccination. All the vaccination happens in the In-Ovo stage. In India, we primarily vaccinate for two diseases, which is Newcastle disease and IBD. Both the vaccines can be given In-Ovo. India, we don't have the regular practice of Marek's disease vaccination in commercial broilers. But if you want to use, vaccines are available which can go In-Ovo. Now the question is, which are all the vaccines which can go on In-Ovo? Not all the vaccines cannot be used In-Ovo. There are certain vaccines which are approved to use In-Ovo. Only that vaccines can be gone. Now India have enough of those vaccines. So India is now ready to adopt this technology, and India has already done that. So I handle India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka geography. So all these markets either have machines or the machines are coming to get installed. So Bangladesh is also going to get installed the machines in the second half of the year, which unfortunately got delayed because of COVID. So this technology has started taking up in the Asian sector. If you see Australia and Japan, they are almost like 40 to 50%. It's a bit old data. I presume today it would be more than 50% In-Ovo vaccinated in the world. That's how the scheme look like. Now, what does it mean is that In-Ovo vaccination is basically a 5-stage process. You have to actually locate the egg, because in the setter tray it can be tilted, it can be having more misaligned eggs are there. So it has to be actually located. It has to be positioned. The penetration of the shell has to happen. You have the needle going into the first needle and then delivering the vaccine, soft delivery of the vaccine, and then sanitation. So these are the 5 steps. And now you imagine the handling, the In-Ovo vaccination, and the transfer. The speed of operation starts from 30,000 to 1 lakh eggs per hour. So one machine, 2 people operating. So all these processes, all the 3-4 processes, three basic systems happens in such a high speed that when you look at those machines working, it will be very difficult for us to figure out how these things are happening so fast. So sometimes when some of our friends in the hatchery ask that, can we open the egg and see? So even that is possible, that we can actually insert dye. So we have getting into that dye also in India, where you can actually get into the vaccine line and actually open and see exactly where the vaccine is getting delivered. So there are different companies available in this space, and different accuracies of vaccination can also be noticed when you are approaching those companies for In-Ovo. So the benefits are early immunization, faster operation, high precision. So this is very important, because either we are farm vaccinating or we are subcutaneously vaccinating after birth. In whatever case, we cannot achieve more than 99%. The precision of vaccination is almost like 99%. No farm vaccination, that is the final objective, final vision the companies should have, that I should not be vaccinating anymore in the farm. That is what US is doing today. Almost 90-95% of their vaccination happens in the hatchery. Then better data management, less labor intensive, and opportunity for expansion. So what happens is, now there is opportunity for vertical expansion. So one machine we install can handle up to 1 lakh birds eggs per hour. So we may not need to repeat this in every place. So you can club 20-25 hatcheries to one site, and then can be handled for expansion. So we have one of our customer actually decided to expand the same facility, considering the scope of automation. So what he told us was that the cost I spent on buying the land versus the cost I spend on automation is remarkably minuscule. So that was a comparison what they have, because the land is also getting costly these days. So that is one point which I wanted to add. This actually increases opportunity for expansion also. And as I said, there are 3 machines. The first is a handling, In-Ovo, and then comes the transformation. The transformation is also a very important machine, because today most of our hatcheries uses a technology called the flip technology. We put the trays onto the hatch basket and then flip the eggs. So when the eggs fall into the hatch basket, they sometimes create cracks. The cracks can be sometimes hairline cracks. because of the flock issues or something. There can be sometimes hairline cracks, and these birds will be born. They may not be dead in shell. They will get birth, but then their yolk sac absorption will not be good, and then their production in the farm can get affected. So. And another thing, as we have a faster operation, there can be sometimes in the normal operation, there is sometimes the incubation companies uses a word called embryonic depression. When you move from the setters to hatchers, when you are delaying that, when you are taking the birds out of the favorable environment, there can sometimes, this is a language from the incubator companies, this is not something from the automation companies, but they sometimes consider this as an embryonic depression, which can be completely avoided as the transfer process becomes super quick. So in a normal situation, we don't take more than 5 minutes to complete a trolley. So that is what the speed we have in the operations here. And finally, these are all very highly biosecure equipments. So these are all machines which are clean in place. You need not have to dismantle anything. Just finish the operation. The machine will clean by itself. And then you can wash the outside and this floor. That is what it is needed. So that's less labor intensive and more science intensive, I should say. And the labor intensiveness is lesser in this. So this is what basically I spend more time on the transfer room because that is more relevant to India today. But also there are more automation availabilities in the space of pull room and the chick room. So this is how a typical pull rooms looks like. So you have the birds coming from the hatcher, you take it into the chick shell separator where you separate the chicks and the shell. And then comes to the next where you have the spray vaccinators, or sometimes we have some IB vaccines which is going in the form of spray. You can have inline spray vaccination. Then you have chick countings, and automatically the chicks will move into the dispatch baskets, and that's how this is being designed. On the other side, there is a parallel channel which will go where basically your waste, everything is grind and taken out of the hatchery and stored in a tank, and that can be taken out to the incinerators or to the other processing plants. So this is an end-to-end automation, and every company will have 1 or 2 pieces also. Certain companies need a washer equipment. They don't need a chick shell separator. Their people can do it because the scale is lesser. That is also possible. So these are all custom-made machines available. And if you want to read through that, these are the machines available. So these are also like variable speeds available in the market based on the requirements. Up to 700 hatch trays can be processed in an hour. Now you imagine in 1 hour, 700 baskets, 150, if it's a Peterson 150 machine, you have 150 birds in one basket. That is what the capacity. And then 700 baskets can be transferred, and it can be can use robot for loading and unloading, but the rest of the machine will completely do the operation. So these are the equipments available. You have a separator, you have a robotic hatch destacker, washers, restackers, everything can be automated. But then these destackers and restackers may not be needed because you need only 1 person to do in India. But when you have a very high scale of operation of 70 lakhs or 80 lakhs, a human being cannot do it at that speed. So that is where the gap comes in dispatch of chicken from the farm, from the hatchery. There, our automation will help in reducing that particular dispatch time so that the chicks reaches the farm well in advance. So this is about the pull room, and then comes the chick room. So chick room is, again, I said, the objective is process the chicken in a humane manner without any social issues. The precision of counting has to be high because there are 2 types of practices. One is the chick selling practice, and the second practice is basically integration practice. So the integration practice, you have the data on your machine. On the candling machine, you know how many eggs have been transferred. On the chick counting machine, you know how many chicks are produced. Everything is integrated into the central computers. So every evening, the chick manager the hatchery manager can send a report to the organization that today this many eggs have been processed, this many clear eggs were there, this many chicks will be produced, this many chicks have been pulled out, this many chicks have been dispatched to the farm. So everything data has been integrated, and today I have seen a lot of companies moving into SAP platforms. Nothing like that. Automatically every data will go. Again, caveat is, for a small scale operation, this may not be viable, but for a medium to high scale operations, these are really viable. The benefit of these machines are you can pick and choose based on your need. and there comes the flexibility that you can have a small scale operation, you have smaller machines, large scale operations, you have larger machines. So this is how the scheme look like in a chick equipment. I would definitely apologize to the listeners here because I know that time would be always a challenge when you talk about these things, because it's a lot of micro discussions, and every point will have some benefit in terms of current practice versus moving into automation. So apologize. I should apologize for that, but then I'm just giving an opportunity for everybody to go through this, and then you can reach out to the industry partners where they can actually come out to you and help out you that, okay, this is where the scope of automation, what exactly you want, and then they can custom made it for you, be it Zoetis or be it any other company. So these are the major 3-room operations, and apart from that, there are certain additional operations, additional solutions also available for the hatchery, which is, as I said, washer. Washer is very important thing in a hatchery, because human, when we are washing the be it hatch basket or set of trays or chick baskets or whatever, there can be sometimes there is a chance of contamination, because every day a person cleans the equipment not in the same way, because I sometimes clean the plates at my home. Every day I cannot clean it on the same quality. So I don't expect in the hatchery, when people are actually doing too many baskets, it may not be able to clean when there is more manual intervention. And also, hatch baskets has to be washed, dried, and sanitized. So now we have equipments available. You can actually wash it, dry it, and sanitize. And the advanced washers actually wash it against the gravity. So that is also an additional benefit. It will take the baskets and the trays above and wash it from the underside of that, like how we wash the car in a service station. So they wash it from the bottom and they clean it, they air dry it with hot air, and they sanitize it. And once it comes out, it is ready for stacking and storage. So that is very much practical, because why I said that lot many times when we do for our biosecurity assessments into the hatchery, and when we do the plating, we do the biosecurity plating exercises, we call it audit exercises, we get a lot of contamination on the baskets. So, and these baskets, you imagine when the chicks are born into these baskets, there can be definitely, they can expose to some of those bacteria which can affect the production in the farms. It's all about 10 grams more per bird is going to translate into millions of dollars. So that's how it gets benefited in the for the end user. So this is also, there are washers for chick box. Like here I said, it is for hatch tray. You can have for racks. You can use for chick boxes. Everything machines are designed where for washing, drying, and sanitation capabilities are there. And another thing, basically, where you have the sexing. So I also want to try, I was expecting a question on embryonic sexing, that many of the innovation that, okay, in the layer birds, we don't need the male bird. So what we will do, if we are vaccinating the layer birds in the day of 18th day, you don't know whether it is male or female. A lot of advancement has happened in the embryonic sexing. I also belong to a company who is working on those areas. One of the organization in Germany has actually announced that they have a machine ready for embryonic sexing. Currently, what is happening is that the cost of embryonic sexing machines are so costly, but that's why it's not viable. To my understanding, in US and Brazil, they actually, in commercial broilers also, they separate the male and the female, and the feed is being done separately. So there also they need the sexing. So this is the next stage of innovation which can happen. On the 18th day, you may sex the embryos and then park it accordingly. Maybe the male will go in one set and the female will go in another set. So currently that innovation is in making. It can hit the market. The first company has already announced it in the market space that they have the capability to do embryonic sexing. This is the last equipment which I find is the most exciting equipment, because there are different places in the hatchery where waste are generated. The first is where the egg reception area, there can be some breakages. The second major comes in the candling and the transfer area, where the clear eggs, the dead in the shell eggs has to be gone into the waste system. And the last is where we are pulling out the chicks, the dead in shell, the remaining shell, fluff, everything. So now we have integrated waste management systems where every room is connected to an outside waste unit. So there are machines which we called waste macerator. So these are all vacuum suction systems. From the production of waste itself will be suctioned into the vacuum. This will be grind and will be vacuumed out into the outside unit, where you can see on the last bottom photo, there is a silo kind of equipment. So everything, every waste produced at different sites will be grind into one single consistency and will be suctioned and taken into the outdoor unit. And from there, this can be either directly taken into the incinerator, or there can be tractors where tankers are available. I think there is a unmute here. Okay, so that is a capability of automation in waste vacuum management. Why I am highlighting this, because I have actually seen certain places getting complaints about hatcheries contaminating or polluting, all these type of comments. So this is a very clean hatchery, and you can see the hatchery on the right bottom, where see how clean it can be. And you need a small tempo, small mini truck to come in with a tanker, and this can be opened. And these are actually seal proof equipments. I mean, the vacuum doors are guaranteed for seal proof, for leak proof for the lifetime. So that is a guarantee the manufacturers give, that not a single drop comes. If a drop comes, this will be replaced. So that kind of advancements in technology have come, and they are all sensor enabled. You need not have to go under this to open the tank. You can give a command on your laptop, and this will be automatically opened, and it will be pour into the next container. It's like in an airline, how the toilet system in the airline is managed, that nobody goes and hand open it. It's all vacuum suction systems. So these are all integrated systems, sensors enabled. You can see what is the stage, how much stage of your vacuum system is filled up to that precision. That capability is also there. So these are certain hoppers which is getting integrated into the vacuum system. So that's what I'm saying. Here you can actually see how the macerators, the hoppers, and transfer everything into the centralized waste management system. So as I said, this is a very elaborate topic, lot of opportunities. Transfer room is currently of very high interest in India, but these are all also will be an opportunity, and these all things can be done when we are developing the hatchery. When you are meeting people, when you are designing hatcheries, these are the things which can be incorporated easily. While later stages, it will be a very big task from the design side. So that is all from me. I think I still respect the time. So as I has been asked to introduce myself, so this is my introduction. So I'm basically an alumni of the College of Veterinary and Animal Sciences. So and I'm currently in Mumbai, and thanks my teachers and friends there who gave me this opportunity, because it's an excellent opportunity to share on a public platform where more of academicians and experts in the space. I'm not an expert in the space. I basically belong to the commercial side, and currently I'm more towards companion animal. But then since it is being something which I have done, I thought it comes as a responsibility. And the QR code will take you through to my LinkedIn. So I accept all the invites which is coming to me, so you can still stay connected with me. And as I said, I belong to an organization, Soitis, which is the biggest animal health company, and working for them for the last 7 years. And we are one of the Fortune 500 companies. So thank you very much. That's all from me. And if there are any questions, I can take that. Otherwise, you can also reach out to me directly on the QR code. That's also most welcome. So thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Renjith, I think you can stop the presentation option now, so that we can talk.
All right.
Okay. So some questions are there from our participants.
Okay.
So
I'm back.
First, okay. So can you hear me clearly?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Some questions are there. First one: are you advocating localized zone like CES for mega hatcheries?
Are you what zones are you advertising?
Are you advocating localized zones like CES for mega hatcheries?
It is actually the one of that kind. I mean, it's not actually a special economic zone for hatcheries, but I have seen in Northeast one of that in Guwahati. there is actually a one area where different hatcheries are being in one particular zone. I would recommend that, but then what happens is that every hatchery is a incubator, is a company's prerogative. So it's up to the different organizations whether they want to come together. From an industry person who is supporting the hatcheries, I would encourage. That's a noble thought, because that will help in leveraging a lot of things, basically transportation, employment. It can attract more job, and those type of things would be better. And also you need to be mindful that hatcheries are still considered as kind of a bit polluting industry. So how the permissions have been coming up also need to be seen. So the policy makers would be also there, the consultants, the governments will be also there in the call, so they can actually see through that. But then from a quality perspective, that would be a good idea.
Okay. Second question. You talked about mega hatcheries in case of rural India. Is there any scope for small hatcheries for Deshi, for catering, backyard poultry?
Very good question. This is actually, I have two experiences here. I don't know the Sonali birds, what is becoming very popular in Bangladesh, which is a local of that. And then in Vietnam, they call colored birds. So this is a very big industry there. So this is basically need to see how is the preference of the choice of the major customer, because in India, poultry meat is a affordable protein source. So I stay in Mumbai. So if you get 120 rupees or 130 rupees a kilo of chicken, and if I would want a desi, so-called desi chicken here, it's 3 times costly. So that is where the interest. If the consumers are ready, that is possible. But then the hatchery investment for those things will be disproportionate versus the commercial broiler hatcheries for cob and roast. So that would be the challenge. But then that is a area which can be seen in certain places, like the Kadaknath chicken we have in central India, MP. So that type of opportunities lies, and I have two experiences in Vietnam and Bangladesh where this is happening.
Okay. Next question. In India, what would be the operational cost for full automated hatchery of 50 lakh capacity per month?
I actually don't know, because this is basically the area where the incubator basically the operators, who are the integrators. For example, in commercial broiler, we call the companies basically integrators, the organizations who actually produce the chicken. So it's their prerogative. I don't have a visibility what is operational cost, or rather I don't have a visibility how much is the investment of incubators coming in. What I know is that if you move from current human management to automation, based on that particular process, that is again process by process, I can tell what would be the cost. So that is what I know. I don't know actually what is the complete operational cost coming into the hatchery, because that's too much variable across the people.
Okay. And one student, he said that he is inspired with automation. He want to know how he can learn robotics. That means the books, resources, that things are available.
I would rather request the College of Avian Sciences. They are the first exclusive Avian Sciences institute in the country, should take up such a subject, because today you don't. I'm a veterinarian. I learned this by my choice of getting into this job. So there is no school which teaches you this. But then when you want to learn, you have the access to these organizations where you can actually help you in taking you through this information, like what I said. So India, if you are working in a poultry sector, in the commercial poultry sector, they already have exposure to organizations like ours, where we will go and explain all these things and what are the possibilities, etc., etc. But for an academic student, I'm so sorry. This is something which we should take up. And yesterday, when I was talking to Dr. Girish Verma, sir was telling that this is something which we should actually discuss and had a opportunity curriculum into our courses, where somebody can explain. Not only the automation, what I'm talking about, incubator is a very big subject. Where there is an opportunity. The commercial incubator, we have academics things, but the commercial incubators somehow some different story to tell, rather some more stories to tell. So I would rather suggest, I would request the experts, Dr. Leo also I have seen. So, so there are a lot of experts out there. So we will be more than happy to help you wherever you need some information that way.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question: can critical amino acids or any other ingredients can be combined with In-Ovo vaccine?
That is a very exciting subject. In-Ovo nutrition is that terminology. So what I say In-Ovo vaccination, that is In-Ovo nutrition. Couple of organizations, if you ask me to name, DSM has actually did a lot of research on the In-Ovo nutrition. That things have not yet get commercialized, but I know a lot of research is being happened. So what I can tell is that the machines currently designed are for vaccinating In-Ovo. However, there may not be a big challenge in Ovo nutrition if it comes commercial in the country. I mean, now it being done on a commercial scale anywhere in the world. It is being only done in the academic side. So it's currently in the research phase.
Okay, we have one more question regarding cost benefit of automation in hatchery.
Yes. So that is what I'm saying, because I knew that this question will come. It's very difficult to quantify the cost benefit because currently you have 10 people working in the hatchery. You are transferring it to one machine. So the cost of one machine versus managing 10 people will be variable from place to place. So that can be addressed on a discussion between the place where you want to do it versus what you want to do in automation, because automation, you can have normal mechanical automation to robotic automation. So this cost will be like 10% to 90%. So that would be the cost variation. So many factors will come into play there. So it's technically impossible to tell that what would be the cost. Because sometimes when I talk to people in the area, experts in the area, they ask that, can you give a ballpark number? I said no, because the ballpark number is also not relevant, because it depends on what you want to do and from where to where you want to take. So that would be my answer. I'm sorry, I'm disappointing there, but that is a limitation because we cannot forecast anything like that.
Okay, and I got some questions that can it affect job opportunities?
It depends. I mean, it's like years before when computer was coming also, that was the thought we had that there can be. There may be certain places where the labors can get affected, but finally, where we are going to look into this type of scope is where your availability of labor is challenging your production. So nobody will move into automation if everything is perfectly happening with human labor. Nobody will move. So the decision and the discussion on automation will start actually when there is a gap currently. So I technically don't feel there would be something which is automation is taking away jobs, but principally there can be certain places where certain people can get affected. But however, that's a very big debatable subject because this is true for everything, right? I mean, in any place when automation comes, there can be certain people who are doing it will be losing jobs, or they may have to upgrade to take over next level jobs or something like that. So this is what my answer to that.
Okay, the next question: how we can investigate low hatchability and how much automation helps in it?
Oh, very good question. There are actually data points to the last stage of production between automated processed chicken versus manual processed chicken. So there are different parameters getting evaluated. So whenever we install machines, we give a document that these are the parameters to be evaluated, because we usually give a proposal with your current operation sequence. This is what the benefits we are expecting and so line area. So it's a elaborate document, and then it will be actually evaluated versus the actual. So one is a proposal. The organization has decided, okay, let us go to automation, but with the proposal they will match what exactly is happening. So that there are different parameters. I cannot count it, where the efficiency of automation is evaluated. Simple, from saving water to more body weight gain, saving water in the hatchery to more body weight gain in the farm. So these are the areas from here to here, because why I said the automated washers consume almost 40% less water than the manual washers. So that's a savings on water. And you imagine a hatchery which is cleaning around 2,000 baskets every day, saving 40% water is a huge cost. 40% on electricity or 20% on electricity savings is a very big cost. So everything has to be evaluated, and there can be some positive production signs where you get better FCR or better weight gain when it is In-Ovo vaccinated, because less stress during handling and better immunity on farm. So So this is a very elaborate discussion, but there are set parameters by the every organization where it can be evaluated. That is available.
And one more question. Can we automate pull-out operations?
Yes, we can. That is what I have shown in the slide. We can automate pull-out operation, the removal of the basket, the trolley from the incubator has to be done by human. You have to take it out. Then there is a docking station. You have to dock it into the station. Rest everything will be automated. So
Okay.
that is possible.
Next question. How many types of vaccine can be done in Ovo?
I was expecting this question. Yeah, actually, I have a customer in Japan who is vaccinating Marex, Newcastle, IBD, Coxi. They are In-Ovo vaccinating. So in India we primarily vaccinate Newcastle disease and IBD, which is now available in Ovo. We don't have that regular practice of Marex in commercial broilers, but if you want to use in layers, you can use Marex, IBD, and ND. That is the possibility now.
Okay, all the questions are over now. So
Thank
now
you.
I am handing over the session to Anita madam. Ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Renjith Nair. It's for delivering such a very impressive and informative session on various advancements in hatchery operations. Actually, I am very much delighted to have your presence in this session, because being academicians, we know all these things, but you have the experience, so the expertization from an experienced person. That is very important, and we are very happy to have this information from you. And I think these participants have enriched with your this experience, and your interaction session was also all the success to you in your future endeavors also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, and nice to hear that from your mouth, because teachers are always valuable. So thanks, and thanks for giving this opportunity to me.
Okay, thank you, Renjith.
Thank you. And
yeah, you can see the comment box. There are a lot of queries and a lot of info there. Everyone is saying that it's very informative, and thank you for having such a good session.
I'm so happy to hear that, and please reach out to us, the pharmaceutical players who are in this space in the industry. Everyone will be more than happy to help. I'm definitely more than happy to help. Thank you, and thanks once again for the opportunity, and stay safe. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we are closing this session now, and next session will be at 3 o'clock today.
Thank you.
Okay.